Thank you, Father Richard, and thank you for inviting me here this evening. I know he wanted at least one rose from Tralee here tonight, so he got two. I was asked here tonight to speak about legacy and Donal's legacy. And in the last 10 years, it has been some roller coaster for us. When Donal first spoke on television for only about 19 minutes about living life and making the most of every day, he thought it was going to be to teenagers. He did not expect the response he got from people of all ages, and never in a million years would he have expected the message to be as strong today as it was 10 years ago. As a result, to the Saturday Night Show response, he left his essay on a teenager living in Ireland with cancer and terminal cancer be published in the Sunday Independent. And while he thought the response to the television show was big, he certainly was not expecting the results after that being published. People from all over the country and the world wrote, telling him how brave he was, how he saved their lives, how he improved their lives, how he changed their lives, all because of what started out as a 16-year-old schoolboy's essay. But he didn't see himself as that. He wrote in another letter, "I have never fought for anyone but myself. Therefore I cannot be brave or heroic. I've only been kind because my religion has taught me so. And what impact would I ever have in the world if I was fake? Or how would I be ever honourable if I was not honoured to be here?" Donal's love for living, his love of his family, friends, community was very strong, and he accepted that his was going to be a short time in this world. But he wanted the best for them. He knew if God and love was in their lives, that they'd live a deeper, more meaningful life. By writing those two letters, he thought he could reach young people. Especially in one of them, he said, "I realised that I was fighting for my life for the third time in 4 years. And this time I have no hope. Yet, I still hear of young people committing suicide, and I'm sorry, but it makes me feel nothing but anger. I feel angry that these people take their lives. I feel angry that these people choose to take their lives, to ruin their families and leave behind a mess that is nearly impossible to clean up." Why was it that a 16-year-old young man could have such a profound effect that lasted for the final 6 weeks of his life and still has the same effect up and down this country 10 years later? Honestly, Donal had nothing to gain from his intervention. Yet he still felt the need to intervene on this topic because there were 2 suicides in Tralee at that time. His intervention as a young person recently diagnosed with cancer was what gained the publicity, but it was the interview with Brendan O'Connor that cemented Donal into the media, and for the following weeks landed us, his parents, with continuing the message through the foundation set up in his memory. It was the honesty of his words that brought the debate out to the forefront of the national and international media. In the interview, there were 3 distinct areas covered: Donal's cancer prognosis, his faith journey, and his appeal to young people to live life. When speaking in schools, parishes, clubs, and other venues across this country, the 2 topics that come up in questions are about his faith journey and his appeal to young people to live life. Young people are not without spirituality, as we can testify from the recent World Youth Day in Lisbon and Donal's annual anniversary Mass held here at Knock, with over 3,000 young students attending every year. But in recent years, we seem to have lost the ability to harness and guide this properly, probably because of our fear of interference. Young people are seeking guidance for their faith and spirituality and see an example in Donal that they can relate to. Brendan O'Connor at the time said of Donal, "To an Ireland down at heel, materially and spiritually, Donal's words were a reminder to us to count our blessings and be thankful for the simple things in life. Donal, the celestial tiger, will burn forever bright in our memories for teaching us to value what we have when we have it." The foundation was set up in 2013 after Donal died, with donations sent in to us. we decided to set up the Elma Walsh Foundation in his memory and to continue the conversation that he started by promoting his faith, anti-suicide message and a live life message, particularly among his age group, that teenage population who are now in their mid-20s. The charity's vision is to reduce the suicide rate in teenagers and to continue promoting Donal's faith to live life. And we do this by speaking in schools across Ireland and now have a reach of approximately 30,000 students annually. By relating Donal's journeys and writings, we appeal to his peer audience and to many others to seek help from their existing community leaders, teachers, counsellors, parents, coaches or chaplains. They should not end up in a dark room of depression without seeking some help. Terence Casey, the recently deceased South Kerry coroner, noted that he had dealt with no teenage suicide for 4 years after Donal spoke out. And while he could not attribute this directly to Donal, he said Donal was the major catalyst in the reduction of suicides across Ireland. At that time, as there is now, there was a huge discourse in Ireland regarding faith, respect and morality. Through his direct language, Donal was able to initiate a previously taboo subject into an open conversation about minding mental health with teenagers in particular, and not to consider suicide as an option. By being captured in the media through his interviews, Donal and his story will forever remain that of a 16-year-old boy. By being included in the SPHE and the religion books in primary and secondary schools in both the north and south of Ireland, and as a young person of influence and in the religion book programme as a young person of faith. In schools, he's introduced to a new audience every year. By representing the Elma Walsh Foundation, we are unique ambassadors who can continue the conversation by recounting his life to the target audience of his peers. Look, Donal was just an average 16-year-old boy who got up to the same antics as any other teenager. And when I caught him with that fake ID, he looked at me with those eyes and he said he wasn't going to be here in 2 years' time. I'm not going to experience what it is to go into a nightclub. So I had just had to let him use that fake ID. But it was when he said, when he asked for the 4th house party, I did put down my foot. And I said, Donal, I don't care if you are dying, you're not having another house party. He chanced his arm as often as he thought he'd get away with it. He, like any teenager, loved his sports, music, clothes, gadgets, and like any boy of 16, he loved his food, his favourite being pizzas and ice cream. Coming here today, I looked up the meaning of the word legacy in a dictionary, and it tells me it is the long-lasting impact of particular events and actions that took place in the past or of a person's life. So I suppose I should really show proof of that for Donal's legacy to continue. And only a month ago, just a little over a month ago, we visited his grave, as I do every week. And on it, this on the 7th of July, written on the 7th of July, just a few days after, I found this letter. I don't know who wrote it, the age or anything of it, but I think this will encapsulate legacy and Donal's legacy. Donal, you helped me to see the light when I thought there was none. I'm forever grateful for what you've done for me. I can never repay you. I pray for your soul, but I think you're a long time in heaven now. And I only hope I can be as good a messenger for God as you have been. So I think that sums up Donal's legacy. Thank you.